and outdoor recreation and counseling and medical care. And I'm going to leave folks out, no doubt. I also work with athletics, and then also work just cross campus to make sure students are successful. So that means reaching out with other teams. And you're going to meet Dr. Fox here in a second with her team and all the academic support that they offer. And so it's just really a privilege and a pleasure to be here. And I'll say one other sort of teaser so that you might ask questions. I have successfully managed to put 2 children through college. My wife and I managed to survive the transitions that you're concerned about right this minute. And so glad to kind of visit and talk about that a little bit and how to start managing that right now, and so on. And I will just go ahead and say it's okay to cry a little bit, just not in front of your kid. So anyway, I'm going to stop there and let Erica get on with the rest of the panel.
Great, thanks, Glenn. And Erin, would you like to go next?
Sure, thank you. I'll introduce myself again to everybody. My name is Erin Gibson, Director of the Counseling Center. Just wanted to say a few things about what Counseling Center is at Westminster and what we provide. So here at the Counseling Center, we offer individual counseling, supportive counseling. We offer 12 free sessions a year for students who are enrolled with us. We also provide various group counseling opportunities. Those will soon be posted on our website, so students can go there and find out if they want to join a group. Group therapy is incredibly effective and also a good way to get built-in support and build community. Some of our groups are very therapeutic and some are kind of light, topical. We're going to have a drop-in session. We're going to call it Take a Breather, where we just have students drop in and come and learn mindfulness skills. They don't have to sign up for it. They can just drop in and do it. There's going to be more information on our website again. We also do some prevention work and some outreach work on campus through other programs and other offices. So often we're involved, we're part of the integrated wellness team here at Westminster. So we're often spotlighted in those areas on how we can provide support and make sure that students are taking care of their whole selves and recognizing, how to fill in wellness gaps or get oriented to various wellness opportunities on campus. So that's more or less what we're doing at the Counseling Center. Really excited for the opportunities this year.
And next I'll ask Dr. Christy Fox to introduce herself and her role on campus.
Hi, I'm Christy Fox. I am Director of Student Success and Retention, and I've got a number of areas that your students will interact with that fall under my shop. As Len noted, we are mostly on the academic side, but we've got academic advising, we've got learning community. So your first year students will all be in a learning community. And that's either a learning community through my program, which is 2 classes, at least one being W Core linked by a theme, or they might be in honors. And I've also got the Office of Disability Services under my shop. And we do something called retention alerts that we can talk about when we see students who might need a little bit of extra support. One-on-one tutoring. We'd love to talk about one-on-one tutoring in the tutoring centers on campus. And if it falls under the academic support, it probably falls under my shop. So.
Great. Thanks, Christy. Trisha.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Trisha Jensen, and I am the director of our Career Center on campus. One of the big things I like to talk about with these groups first, because it's usually how we first interact with your students, is that our Career Center also oversees on-campus student employment. So if your student is interested in working on campus or perhaps was awarded work study, they would be working with us. We're the ones that help them identify what jobs are available, as well as get their paperwork done when they are selected and hired for a position. One of the reasons that we at Westminster invest so much in on-campus student employment is that students who do work on campus are actually more likely to graduate in 4 years. So it helps them connect with campus. It helps them build a network of support. It also gives them a way to earn some money and gain work experience in an environment where their supervisor also knows that they are a student first. So it's a real job, they get real skills, but they in general will have a supervisor that's maybe a little bit more flexible with them. And so we will have a couple of different ways that your students can look at the different opportunities. Our main platform that we use is called Handshake. Your students would have been able to access their Handshake account that they get automatically as soon as they registered for their classes. So they should all be able to get into Handshake now. It can be found on the website. There are some positions up there right now, but I would start to look in the next week or two as different departments identify needs where they do need student employees. They will start to post those, and your student can actually apply right through that portal. So they would have put their resume on there and they can apply for jobs on campus. In addition to that, we'll have a student job fair on August 24th. So that's the Tuesday after school starts, where they can also come and meet supervisors from different departments that are looking to hire students. So both options are great. I know some students really want to get on this early, and they can, and if not, and they'd rather wait till they get here, that's an option as well. Some additional things that our office does on top of the on-campus student employment pieces, that we provide career exploration and preparation for your students. And we do that in a number of ways. A lot of times we will do that in the classroom. We will show up in different classes depending on what your student is studying and talk to them that way. We also provide programming with different employers as well as alumni of our college to come and work with and talk to your students about how they transition into the working world when they're done at Westminster. I know we just got here, so it's crazy to start thinking about that, but we want them to start thinking about it from day one as they make a plan for what they want their goals to be when they are moving through their time at Westminster. In addition to that, we also offer a peer-led drop-in career studio. So a place where they can drop in, they can talk to their peers with quick questions that they might have. And then we also offer one-on-one career coaching appointments with a certified career coach team where they can come in and get one-on-one help on everything from resumes to internship and job search strategies to salary negotiation. Maybe they're getting ready to graduate and they just got offered a job, but they don't know how. They know they're supposed to negotiate, but they don't know how, which is, I think, what everyone says. So we're here to help them in all of those areas. And then we actually follow them for life as we provide free lifetime career services for all of our graduates. So we actually get to continue to work with them as they go out and take that first job or go to grad school and beyond. So that is the Career Center.
Great, thank you, Trisha. And Maggie, who's here representing our alumni office.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Maggie and I'm the manager of alumni engagement here at Westminster. I'm also a recent grad. I finished my undergrad degree in 2020 and I'm currently getting my master's here. So I live and breathe Westminster College, but I get to work not only with alumni and volunteers, but with future alumni is what we started calling them. And we find often that our alums want to give back by mentoring current students, and that's the #1 way that they want to get involved. So I'll connect students with alumni on a casual basis. We also have some formal programming available. We also connect with students through events throughout a couple of years, throughout their years as students, so they can mix and mingle with alumni, things like Westminster Thinks Big and Westminster Weekend. So that way they can get into the alumni community. There's 25,000 alums here at Westminster College, and we love to involve our students in that community as early as possible. And I think that's everything I want to say. I was also a very involved student and interacted with everyone else's departments before I graduated, so.
Great, Maggie, thank you. And we will have almost 20 minutes now for questions from the families who are here. And so we'd encourage you to use the chat function for posting those questions, and we will make sure our panelists get the chance to answer them. So please, if there's specific questions, we encourage you to jump on there. And someone has already started with a question about our preparation regarding COVID and the Delta variant and how we are working to keep our community safe. And so I'm going to just sort of kick that over. Glenn, if Tracy's still here, I think she can jump in. This is really a community effort, so I imagine several of us have things that we can share. But Glenn, why don't you get us started?
Sure, and that's it's certainly an expected question as we all are continuing to deal with this in our lives. both on and off the campus. We have a group of folks who meet every week and have been meeting every week now for about 16 months, I think, to deal with everything COVID. And we are continuing to work with our getting back to school process. Right now, the vaccine requirement is that it will be, we are strongly encouraging everyone to be vaccinated. We are sending out a form within the next week to all admitted students, all current faculty and staff, and so on, to ask about vaccination status and so on, and so that we can have a good sense of where we're at. We have some survey data that says we are a fairly well vaccinated campus, in the upper 80s, low 90s, depending on which day we do the survey. But we've had pretty good participation in those surveys. We are going to continue to ask anyone who is not vaccinated to wear masks and to be tested every 2 weeks. Athletics has their own testing protocol that I was just on a call with all the presidents of the RMAC. So if you have a student athlete coming with you, there'll be a number of very, very specific issues related to testing and so on, and especially if you're not vaccinated. So we are doing all we can to make sure that we're safe. Prior to moving into residence halls, all students will either need to be able to show proof of vaccination or proof of a clear test within 72 hours of moving in. And that information is being sent out and has consistently been being sent out. So any student who's moving in residence should know that. I think that kind of covers it for now. If there's more specific questions related to that, certainly we can get to that.
Christy, one of the questions in the chat was regarding in-person versus virtual classes. And I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit about how this information is being communicated with students and what we're expecting from the classrooms this fall.
Absolutely. So I also want to address the specific question in the chat. So that's kind of two-part. We are communicating with students that we want them to check the modality of their class, and that if the class is in person, we are anticipating that they will be physically present in the class. And if the class is hybrid, then there might be some percentage of the class that the instructor chooses is online. So that could be 20%, it could be 25%, it could be half, it could be 50%. So that varies from instructor to instructor, and that is something that the students would learn on the first day of class, or even sooner if their Canvas page is ready sooner. So once the students learn that, they can make arrangements, and if they want a different kind of modality, we still have a week to change classes. So we are communicating that that we want students, we're very interested in being back together in community. However, two more things. The specific reference in the chat was one class changed modalities. And that class did. We had an instructor change. And the person that is teaching that class online now is a very experienced online instructor. And because of their other job, only teaches for us online right now, although they have also taught in person and face-to-face classes. So that is a very specific instance. There isn't a lot of that happening right now. I don't anticipate it becoming any kind of avalanche or any kind of flood. If an instructor wanted to teach online, we asked that they come back and give us a really good pedagogical reason. Like, what's the learning going to happen? Why is this better? Why is this class better online than offline? Or in person. So that's our approach to it. And the other thing I wanted to say is we already have a protocol if a student does get sick and can't attend. So in my class, I say things like, if you have the sniffles, please don't come to class. Do not have to come to class. I will turn on Teams. I will turn on the OWL. You will still be able to participate. It will be awesome, and none of us will get the flu. So we also have that we can invite students who have had the flu to still participate. If they feel well enough, obviously, if they feel well enough to participate, they can still participate in class, do some group work. Probably not labs, but some of the classes they'll definitely be able to continue to attend and stay up to date with.
Great, Christy, thank you. So there's another question in the chat regarding student employment and student success, right? And so I'm thinking maybe Trisha, Christy, the two of you may tag team here, but let's say students who have busy schedules are nursing students, student athletes, or others with substantial commitments. Can we talk a little bit about student success and student employment at the same time?
Trisha, do you want to start?
Sure. You're really big on my screen, so I thought maybe that meant you were going first.
Oh, I am spotlighted.
Yes.
I'll start. Okay.
Go for it.
So I love this question because there is such a strong connection between students working on campus and student success. So if your student is thinking about working or needs to work or wants to work, then we cannot encourage them enough to work on campus. And Trisha will talk about, she already kind of previewed how that will work, and she can talk about the mechanics of that. I will talk about the outcomes of that, some of them. Some of the outcomes of that are they're more likely to graduate in 4 years. That's probably my favorite outcome. And I think that's because of something that Trisha already mentioned, which is on-campus employers understand the rhythms of the semester, understand when things get really busy during midterms and finals. But I also think it's because there's another person on campus who's connecting with the student and saying, "Morning, how you doing today?" And I love that question. And our campus employers always ask that question, "How you doing today?" And they listen to the answer. And that is so impactful to our students.
Wonderful. So I'm going to address the very specific question first, just so that I don't neglect it. And then I might ramble a little bit more about student employment because it's something that we do and it's such a great way for students to gain a connection to campus. The question was specifically about a student that's in the nursing program, which can be time intensive and demanding, and have students been successful participating in these demanding programs and working on campus? Yes, 100%. One of my most long-term student employees right now that actually works in my office is a nursing student, and she's wonderful. So yes, students can work on campus regardless of what program they're going into. This is one of the other advantages of student employment, is that there's flexibility. I know that nursing schedules are crazy, and I also know that sometimes they tend to change at the last minute, or they get really busy during certain semesters. And I know that about this student, but I also know that this student is really dedicated and she's trustworthy and she knows her stuff, or she wouldn't be successful in what she's doing in her program. And I want her to bring all those things to my office, and she does. And so, yes, 100% encourage your students to find a place to do student employment that looks interesting to them. Another great feature of student employment is that the hours required really varies. I have some students that work 5 hours a week in my office. That's all. It would be very hard for them to go off campus and get hourly employment that would work around their class schedule and let them only work 5 hours a week and be very happy with them. Usually they'd be saying, let's have you work nights. Let's come in on the weekends. Well, you have homework, but I need you. For us, them being a student is always the priority. And so I have students that work 5 hours a week, and then I have folks that have students that work up to 20 hours a week. That is the maximum, the 20 hours. They can't work more than that. But there's a lot of flexibility and a lot of options, and that's something your student can look for as they're looking at different jobs that are posted as open, as well as a conversation I hope you will encourage them to have with that supervisor. We want them to be professional in those conversations, treat it like a real job because it is, but also know that they can ask some of those more specific questions about them being a student because we're also part of the campus.
Thank you. And our next question is for Erin. Erin, a parent's asking about support for students who may benefit from counseling. If a student is, say, struggling but isn't reaching out for help, who's advocating on behalf of students if they see this. So can you just talk a little bit about student support and encouragement for taking advantage of health and wellness on campus?
Absolutely, and yes, I'm reading this specific question from Denise, and there's two parts. One is definitely there are lots of eyes on students. I feel like at Westminster, like I collaborate with lots of different offices. I work a lot with Christy's office. I work a lot with Disability Services and the Dean of Students' offices. So in one sense, it is true that students have to initiate their own counseling services. In some ways, I actually think in most ways, it's a real sense of empowerment to be able to start engaging in life in the adult world, that if you are an adult and you want to engage with mental health services, we want a student to come and ask for the services. That being said, we know that some people are nervous, they're anxious, they don't know what to expect, and we do collaborate with other offices like, hey, Erin, this student may be interested, or I have a student who may be interested. Can you tell me what the process is so I can pass that information along to them? Because we do honor HIPAA, which is, the health protection protocols at Westminster, we do not directly share health information, and the Counseling Center is a protected office because we hold mental health records. So we do respect, above anything else, student privacy as well. So, but we also have found many ways to collaborate with other offices to encourage students to come in to see us if they are nervous or anxious. So that, I hope that answers the question. It's a bit nuanced, but there's definitely many eyes and many caring people on campus helping support mental health and encouraging. And sometimes a student is encouraged 6 times, like, I think you should go to the Counseling Center. And they do. They eventually show up when they're feeling ready, and they come and they engage. So doors always open for them.
And I might just add, as a sort of the intervention piece, is that we often, either in student affairs or Christy's team, or Maggie mentioned her academic advisor in the chat, there is a lot of intentionality that if we hear about a student who is struggling, we will reach out. We're not afraid to do that. That's our job. And so it may be that counseling is the right connection. It may be that the connection really was that they need some more time with an academic advisor. So we try to triage that and then get them to the right folks.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Erin. And I believe that Bill has joined us, and Bill's here from our Student Health Services. Bill, I'm wondering if you can just jump in briefly and talk a little bit about how students access health services on campus.
Sure, I can do that. Hello, everyone. I was running a little bit late. I was actually working with my son. He was having issues with some asthma, so I apologize for being late. But anywho, I am the Director of Student Health Services at Westminster College, and over the last year, my job has really been about setting up a system to test for COVID. And so we have a pretty good system in place that I think is pretty good for our small college. So we are testing regularly. We have free testing available to all of our students. We have consultations available. We're located in the basement of Shaw at Westminster, so where the main cafeteria is, or main lunchroom. We're in the basement of that building, so it's pretty easy to find us. Simple to get down there. There's road maps and little signage to get you down the stairs, but it kind of feels like you're going into a dungeon. However, there's lots of good things downstairs in Shaw. We're available to do physicals, monitor medication, do all kinds of things. PAP and pelvic, we do women's health, we do medications. I feel like I'm being redundant, but if you're really curious, I'd log on to our Westminster website for student health, and it goes through everything that we're good at. If it's beyond our scope of practice, we have no problem doing referrals, and so we'll send you out to the top people around Salt Lake that are better than us at it. And I hate to say that, but that's the reality. We're nurse practitioners, so we don't know everything, but we're not afraid to do referrals. So we will find someone to help you if you need it. And the other thing that we do well is work well with the Dean of Students on helping students that may have issues, and then also with counseling. Counseling's right down the hall from us, and I feel like we have a great relationship. We actually meet on a monthly basis when school's in session, and I feel like we have a lot of things for the students at Westminster. If you need help, come see us.
Thanks, Bill. And so for our last question for this evening, I'm actually going to kind of maybe ask our panelists to all jump in. One of the things that we hear from families often is, how is my student going to get involved? How are they going to start to make friends or find their place? So I'm wondering if maybe each of our panelists could just briefly touch on something that will be happening during the opening weeks of school. That's a great way for students to get involved, or that bit of advice you'd have for families who are encouraging their students to get out there and start to make those important connections. Glenn, I see you in the upper corner, so do you mind if I start with you, that piece of advice you'd give about getting out and getting involved?
Yeah, I think one thing I tell students is college is that great time. You get away from high school where maybe you got stuck in some certain identities that you weren't really you. And so a student gets to be who they are when they come to college. We treat them like adults as much as possible. And so they get to make these choices. So choosing those activities that they want to be involved in, and if there is the first 6 weeks of school, we make a very determined effort. We call them the weeks of welcome, to make sure that there are events constantly that we highlight and make sure students attend. This allows them to be exposed to any number of groups and organizations and programs. Some of it's just fun, like going to a soccer game. But these are all opportunities to meet people, to explore, and to start thinking about who it is they want to be at the Westminster campus. So tell them to watch their events, their email, their calendars, the announcements that are constant, and so on. And Oliver's office and our events office lead the charge on the whole Weeks of Welcome thing.
Hey Maggie, for you, what's a favorite Weeks of Welcome tradition?
Oh, well, there's so many. I feel like that part of the beauty of being such a small institution is that there is something going on for everyone. And I feel like it's really, I'm a dork. So the first day I moved into the residence halls, I brewed a pot of tea and opened my door and told all the people in my hall to come have a cup. And then we all sat on the floor and bonded. And I met 3 of my best friends that way, and we all still talk. So that's really nerdy. But there's also all kinds of sports games. The Welcome Back Block Party is a blast. That is a favorite event of mine every single year. And like the classes are small. Everybody wants to get to know you. People are really welcoming. And I think as long as students try and tune in just a little bit, you'll find something. I found it much easier to make friends in college than before that. So, yeah.
Lots of fun things to look forward to. And Christy, Aaron, Bill, Trisha, if any of the rest of you have a bit of advice or a favorite back to school activity that you'd like to end with this evening?
The only bit of advice I would chime in with is to tell your student that everybody feels the way that they do. So if they feel nervous and they feel scared and they feel like they don't know how to make friends, everybody else feels that way too. I asked my first year students last fall to write a letter to incoming first year students, and overwhelmingly they wrote, "It's hard to make friends. You're going to feel awkward, but it's absolutely worth it. Make friends, step out, talk in class, and everything. You'll find your people." And I really liked that's what they said. You'll find your people.
I would also second that in saying that most of the people, I've also been a student at Westminster, most of the people tell me they find their tribe when they come to Westminster. And so there's always the possibilities of making new friends at every turn. And pretty much just walking around the campus, they will have a lot of opportunities to make new friends, whether it's at the library or going through Shaw or up at Bassis. It just seems like you're going to run into somebody that's going to agree with you or talk with you. You got to force yourself to get out there.
I'm personally a fan of all the pre trips that the outdoor program runs. I think it's a really awesome way to bond with people. I know that unfortunately, I think those opportunities have passed if students haven't signed up for them. But if your student is signed up for one, the feedback I've gotten from students who went on that was, wow, do you get the opportunity to really get to know people in an intimate setting, like doing something together or sparking interest? And I didn't know I wanted, Tracy said there is still room in trips. So I would plug trips. If students like to be outside, and it's not about athleticism, it is about building community and they work to be very inclusive of students. So you can be new to something, you don't have to be an expert at some sport or outdoor activity to go on a trip.
And Trisha, I think that some of the last words might be for you.
Ooh, that's a lot of pressure. The thing that I was thinking of, I think maybe bookend some of the other comments really well, is to definitely tell your students to find several places to get involved, to find their people, to seek out their opportunities, but also gently remind them that they don't have to do everything. They don't have to join all the clubs. They don't have to do absolutely everything, because they still need and want to go to class. And you need to maybe remind them of that, because sometimes there's so much great stuff going on. Our students want to do everything. So tell them to try a few things, and then they get a few weeks in, they can try a few more things. They get another semester in, they can try a few more things, but they don't have to do it all at once. It'll be very exciting. And then remind them that in between all the fun, that they do still need to go to class, because we want to see them there as well.
Perfect. Thank you. And so I want to just wrap up tonight by saying thank you to my colleagues who joined us and for their great words of wisdom and advice. I want to also specifically say thank you to Christy Spellin, a colleague in the admissions office, who helped to put tonight's event together. So thank you, Christy, for organizing our conversation this evening. We look forward to welcoming many of you to campus in the next few weeks, and to welcoming all of you to the Westminster community. And we are thrilled that your students will be joining us, and we are excited that they've chosen Westminster as their next stop on their academic journeys. And we look forward to meeting them in person and seeing you here on campus, whether it's for orientation, future events, or of course, those graduation ceremonies that will be in future years. So with that, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining us. And if there were questions that were not answered this evening, I would encourage you to reach out directly to offices and to the community. We're here to support you and help in this transition to Westminster. And if there's anything else that we can do, I'll be happy to stick around for a few minutes and direct you to specific offices if there's a question that was not answered. So with that, thanks to everyone for joining us, and we'll look forward to meeting you in the next few weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much. I think we got through the majority of the questions. I will go back and double check the chat, and if there's anything specific, if the parents logged in with their information, we can do some follow-up, and I might do some referrals out if it seems like there's a question